Hey everyone, it's the Autohound again. Thanks for joining. Had some really cool episodes, as I said before, in another video, but today we have our official Autohound shirts. Yay! I just want to get some brand recognition. I want people to kind of see these. They're not for sale yet. Hopefully someday they will be if we decide to sell them in a merchandise store. That being said, I'm here to talk about my cars. Specifically all the cars that I've owned, and I've owned too many to count, but I'm going to kind of go through a list of what I've owned and kind of their little flaws and what I've done to them. Number one, my very first car that I ever owned, was a 1973 Volkswagen Beetle. It was a stick shift. It was the first car I ever drove with a stick. It's how I learned to drive. It's really odd to me that people don't know how to drive stick shift. I find it weird, just because I'm so used to driving one. And in driving this car, I got to learn how to do everything. And it just kept coming back for more. I never burnt the clutch, never killed it. And 73 was a great year. And then they wound up switching in 74 to 75, I think, to the fuel injection, and they killed the engine. That was a normal, great car, but then they put fuel injection, and I think, my personal opinion, they ruined it. After that, I switched to a 1975 Mercury Capri. It was brown. It was a terrible car. There was nothing redeeming about it at all. It had zero power. It couldn't get out of its own way. The brakes were horrible. The handling was horrible. And it just didn't look like the car I should be driving. I had that car for about 4 months, and I eventually gave it to a friend who also didn't like it, and he left it parked on the street in Cambridge. It got impounded and we never took it out. So sorry, City of Cambridge. That was many years ago. So hopefully the statute of limitations has expired on the fine on that one. I'm sure that the tow company got good money out of it though. My next car after that was a 1974 Chevrolet Vega, which needed oil every time I got in it. I had the car for 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I probably went through 20 quarts of oil. I realized that it was a losing proposition, and I just got rid of the car. My brother, at the time, decided, hey, Eric, why don't you buy this 1975 Cadillac El Dorado? But you got to be careful because of the brakes. I said, hey, that's great. You know, I'll take it. How much you want for it? $300. So I bought the car for $300. I was driving from Medford, Mass. To Revere, Mass. It's about a 12-mile commute, and you got to go over the Tobin Bridge, which is just outside of Boston. It connects Boston to Chelsea on your way to Revere. And I was getting off the exit. It's about a 20-degree downgrade. And as I'm coming down the exit, I go to hit the brakes, and there's nothing. My foot goes right to the floor, and I'm thinking, this is not good. I did it again, nothing, no brakes. So I throw the car into low, then low 1. I hit the emergency brake, doesn't stop, still keeps going with 6,000 pounds of inertia, just keeps rolling down. I throw the thing in the reverse, all I hear is crunching and the car's still going. Throw it in the park, the car still goes, and I'm trying to slam it, and I'm trying to hit the bridge to slow myself down. So as I'm slowing myself down, I crash into the back of a Trans Am, which crashes into the back of a truck, which crashes into the back of a Massachusetts state trooper, and another car and another car. So a total of 6-car accident from my 6,000-pound murdering machine. So the kid in the Trans Am was clearly upset. He comes running after me. The state trooper comes over, pushes the kid out of the way, says, hey, go back to your car. I'll take care of you in a minute. And he looks at me, and my hands are frozen up on the steering wheel like this, white knuckles, my face crying my eyes out because, you know, I've never been in an accident before, and this one really took the cake. He looked at me, he says, son, we need to look at this here. He pops open the hood, and he sees that where the master cylinder is, the tension for the master cylinder was normally a clamp, but it was a vice grip. Yes, my brother tried to sell me a car, or did sell me a car, with a vice grip holding down the brake cylinder, master cylinder, and that caused it to eventually pop with all the pressure, and I almost got killed. I caused about $80,000 in damage back then, which is in 1986. So today's money, that would be close to a few $100,000, you would think. So It was a 1984 Plymouth Laser. I bought it in 1988. It was black with the red stripe going down the side, and it was the coolest car I've ever owned. As far as just the aesthetic look of it, it really said something to me. You know, some cars have like a special meaning to you. This one had the meaning that I've been making something out of myself and trying to work hard and make money and do what I had to do. But a month after I owned it, I was at an intersection and I was starting to go through the intersection, and someone blew the stop sign and T-boned the car. Decided to be a little bit more responsible, and I got myself a 1987 Volkswagen Jetta. That was one of the most fun cars I've ever owned. It was nimble, it was great on gas, it was economical, and I had that for a few years, and I really liked it because it was a very analog car. No computers, very simple to drive, and I enjoyed it. That car, I went to detail it one day, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and I waxed the plastic pieces on the side, which had all these kind of little pips and dimples. Well, the problem is that when you do the wax on, you can't do the wax off, because the divots depress where the wax are, and now you just have black pimples showing with white wax behind it. You should always tape that off. So there's a top tip from somebody who knows. So if you're a kid and you're doing this for the first time, don't ever wax the rubber on your car or the side door guards on your car. Make sure you tape them off before you wax your car. Big tip. Make sure you follow it. Otherwise, you'll be spending a lot of money to fix it. After my 87 Jetta, I went to a 1993 brand new Plymouth Sundance Duster. It was a Plymouth Sundance with the Duster badging on it. It was forest green. It was the 3-liter Mitsubishi V6, the first year of it, I believe. And the car was not good from day one. I had nothing but problems with the car. It looked nice in 50 feet away, 50 miles an hour. I've used that before. It's a beautiful car. But when you get up to drive it, not so good. It was terrible. I've had let my friends drive it and they're like, this is a terrible car. And just wasn't good. Eventually, it kept backfiring on me, and I decided to trade that in for a 2000 Volkswagen Golf, which I put 199,000 miles on. I spent $12,500 for the car, and probably spent just a little bit north of that continuing to keep the car going. I think that Volkswagen made a fatal mistake, is where after 40,000 miles, the minute that check engine light comes on, they don't care because there's no more warranty. So they said, the hell with it, we're just going to let the consumer just keep paying. And that's what I did. I paid and paid and paid and paid until I just couldn't pay anymore. I went through 4 catalytic converters in that car. I've replaced oxygen sensors, the head gaskets blew twice, the timing chain had to be replaced. It was just a nightmare to own, and I was stupid enough to keep dumping money into it. I then moved to a 1993 Ford Ranger, a 2003 Ford Ranger, and then a 2003 Toyota Corolla. Single best car I ever owned. I spent $10,000 on the car. I owned it for 3 years. I put 60,000 miles on it, and it never hiccuped once. Nothing. I just did the oil changes. I then bought a 2003 Toyota RAV4 with 71,000 miles, the car I drive today, and it's got 181,000 miles on it. And again, virtually no money going into it. It's been bulletproof and rock solid, knock on wood. One of my favorite cars still to this day. Yes, it's a Toyota RAV4. It's the little RAV4S, and people be like, well, you drive with little skate, what a friend of mine called it a roller skate, because they're very small little SUVs. Well, it's economical. It gets about 21 in the city, 21 on the highway and 17 in the city. It's a great car. I think you'd like it. I'd recommend it. And then also, at the same time, I bought a 2000 Porsche Boxster. It's a Boxster S with the 3.2 motor in it. I bought it with 93,000 miles on it 5 years ago. I just broke 100,000 miles this year. The car is expensive to own. There's nothing in the world more expensive than a cheap Porsche. Running, I have all the service records. One of my favorite cars. I did skip over.
So what was
one
your
car,
first
which
car?
I want to go
What
back
do
to.
you like about cars?
It was
What
a
cars you want to see me
1984
review?
Plymouth Laser.
Tell me
I
if I'm
bought it
terrible.
in
Tell me if I'm great. Tell me
1988.
my content's boring.
Tell me
It
if
was
it's really
black
positive.
with the red stripe
like,
going down the
smash,
side.
subscribe.
Do what you gotta
And
do.
it was the coolest
Get those
car I've ever
views
owned.
up there.